Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. In today's video we're going to be taking a look at the Transformers Premium Finish Studio Series 2007 Voyager Class Megatron, or of course as us Bayverse fans know him as NBE1. Now for those of you who are familiar with my Premium Finish reviews, you guys know that for the most part they've been pretty lackluster, especially in regards to that Siege Megatron. I thought that it was by far one of the worst Takara Tomy products that I've picked up in a very long time, or if ever. So when this guy was in fact actually announced, to be honest, once again, I wasn't all that thrilled. I thought the original version of this Megatron was pretty darn good from Takara and Hasbro. Of course, it already had a really awesome metallic silver deco, and to be honest, I thought this release was rather wasted, especially when we've got figures such as the Revenge of the Fallen Megatron, which when first released were essentially just cast grey plastic. But actually having this guy in hand, I've got to be honest and say, this may in fact be the best 2007 Megatron that we've ever seen. Takara Tomy definitely have done a pretty darn good job. Not 100% perfect, and once again for Premium Finish, maybe it should be, but honestly, leagues beyond anything that we in fact actually saw from their Siege Megatron. Now, of course, bringing this guy in here for a closer look, if you own the original 2007 Megatron, then honestly, in terms of moulding, there is nothing new at all. I actually think in regards to a Voyager Megatron, this is by far one of the best ones that Hasbro ever put together. You can see in regards to the face sculpt, that just looks so wickedly menacing. Honestly, Megatron down to a T from that first movie, they did a terrific job. Now, one of the things that you'll notice, which is majorly different from his original release, is that we have these almost copper brown highlights scattered throughout this guy, which is so much more accurate when in comparison to just the solid silver. I really love the way this looks. You can see how they've been applied perfectly here to the face sculpt. Honestly, really does help to amplify some of the sharper details of the sculpt. You can see there in particular for the mouth region, we've got those really gnarly menacing teeth. You can see the red beady eyes piercing through this section. Overall, it's just a fantastic looking head sculpt, as well as a really nice looking paint job. You can see here for the torso region, we do in fact actually get that dry brushing effect. Whilst it's not as good as I would have hoped, it is a lot better than Siege Megatron. You can see once again those really nice brown highlights, just picking out some of the details of which I never in fact even noticed on the original 2007 Megatron or ROTF Megatron, as of course they do share the exact same torso. That looks really nicely done in my opinion. You can see here for the shoulders once more, we've got some of those fantastic bronze highlights here for the forearms as well. That does continue, and you can see some of that dry brushing effect going along the side, just to give you that weathered, war-torn look that of course this version of Megatron sported in the movie. Sadly, the fingers are just cast out of almost brown plastic, but honestly not looking too bad in contrast to the rest of the figure, I don't believe. And as we take a look here down to the lower region, the only area of which I have a major gripe with would be the hips. These are merely just cast grey plastic and really do look out of place when in comparison to the rest of the figure, of which is for the most part being completely painted. So why they decided to leave these out, I have no idea at all. But you can see here for the actual thighs, I think these two have also been painted very nicely. And then of course, as we turn our attention down to the legs, these two look fantastic, really nicely done. Literally from every single angle have been completely decked out in this wicked, almost gunmetal silver. And you can see here for the toes once more, really nicely painted. As we spin our attention here to the back of Megatron, very clean. Once again, one of the best Megatrons I think that Hasbro have ever released. You can see the spinal region picked out there in brown. You can see these side panels in fact actually having some of that dry brushing applied, and once again very nice looking sculpt work. So in all, paint wise, I think this particular Premium Finish Megatron definitely lives up to the Premium Finish name. I've got to give it to Takara. I think they've done a really nice job with this guy. Now, articulation wise, the head is on a ball joint, so it can look up to a fantastic degree, as well as can look down. You fail me yet again, Starscream. Where is the cube? Of course, it can also look left to right. We in fact also do get a full rotation here at the shoulder. Hinge joint out to the side, we can bend roughly to 90. We do get a full rotation here at the bicep, 90-degree bend here at the elbow. Sadly, no form of waist rotation, which was something we saw on the original release, so can't really critique it all that much. The legs can kick forwards that far, as well as can kick back to that far. Hinge out to the sides, full thigh rotation, as well as a way past 90-degree, only on a single hinge joint here for the knee, and here for the foot. These are loaded with joints, so we get a terrific ankle rocker pivot. The toe can in fact hinge forwards and backwards, and the heel spur too can drop down just to accommodate some of those more dynamic poses, which is awesome. And we also do in fact get this almost middle foot spur, which really helps to in fact actually stabilize him. So overall, very nicely done version of Megatron. And to be honest, the actual original Hasbro release goes for a pretty hefty price tag on the aftermarket. So for those of you who maybe missed out on that release, you may in fact actually be better off just picking this guy up, as I believe he's retailing for roughly £45, whereas when I last looked, the original version by Hasbro goes anywhere between 60 to even 100. Now in regards to accessories, sadly he only comes with the same one that we saw first time round, so it is that mace. Honestly, I have no idea as to why they included this in the original release, as he never really used this. He only used it once in order to in fact actually crack out the ice, and that was the last we saw of it. He used it a little bit more in the actual video game, but I would have much rather him actually included that massive cannon, and hopefully one day we will in fact actually see that. But you can see no paint on this at all, which is a little lackluster, but it has been cast out of that grey plastic for whatever reason. This actual section can rotate on a mushroom joint, and in order to attach it into Megatron's hand, we simply just fold the fist in, and then this section will just peg into that slot. Really lackluster weapon in my opinion, doesn't really bend and looks rather out of place when in fact actually being stored onto the figure. So only downside really would be this weapon, but overall in terms of bot mode, not looking too bad at all, and in all honesty actually looking pretty awesome. Here for a quick comparison, we've got the premium finish version of Megatron on the left and the original mass release version on the right. Now as mentioned previously, when this guy was first released I thought it was awesome, and even to this date for an actual mass release product it was painted pretty darn well, but when you actually compare them, at least to me, there's no denying that the new PR version is vastly superior. I just think the refinements made to the paint, especially where those brown highlights are concerned, really do make all of the difference and just make some of those sharper details pop, when in contrast to this, which for the most part was just essentially a big silver brick. To me, the area of which is the best looking is the head sculpt. Honestly, if you actually bring these in here for a closer look, it just looks absolutely fantastic. This looked great, but you can see how the eyes really became lost in that silver, so did the teeth detailing, and especially some of the areas around the side of the head. This time around, it just really looks so much better. You can see here for the torso, whilst this looks pretty cool with the gunmetal highlights, I just think the brown looks better. The actual brown here for the shoulders looks awesome. And then finally, as we take a look here towards the legs, there's just so much more definition here to this version when in comparison to this release. So for those of you after the most accurate version of MBE1 from the 2007 movie, I've got to give it props to Takara. This is probably the best version to go with. And very quickly going through the transformation to begin with, you just want to take the arms here, hinge them out to the sides, and take the hands and just fold them within these cavities. We can then in fact actually take this shoulder section, and you're going to want to disengage this locking mechanism there from that tab. So just swing that down until that clicks into place. Come to this side and repeat the same process. So snap that in there. We can then take this back panel, and you'll just want to detach it from this tab and just extend this here. Take the nose cone and just snap that in there, and then just proceed to click all of these various different segments into place. We can then come here to the head. Now, to be honest, this was the only area of which I found to be a little tricky on the original version, and it still does retain here on this release. So essentially, you want to get this panel underneath the head. So I tend to just sort of set the head back like so, rotate here, and then it is just a matter of kind of manipulating the ball joint so that this can tuck under there, and that is essentially the finished result. So you're then going to want to do the same here for this side. So just rotate the head, take the arm, move that out of the way, and just snap that there over the top. We can then take this, realign it so that it's in the center, and you should be left with something which looks along the lines of this. We can then take these here, just collapse these down, and you'll notice that we do in fact have two slots here and here. They will in fact actually peg into these two tabs. So just collapse this section down all of the way, and then just take these here and snap them there into place, of course creating the front section of the Cybertronian jet. We can then come here to the legs, and what I personally like to do is just take these sections, disengage, so they're in fact held in via those slots. So just hinge that section out, take this here, fully extend the wing, take this panel, snap that out like so. Really tightly compact engineering as well. You can just notice how much of this does in fact actually store away in the leg. It's pretty awesome. We're then going to want to take these sections, hinge this out, and you'll notice that we do have a tab that will peg into a slot there. So just snap that like so, hinge that out all of the way. You're then going to want to take the heel spur, collapse that just like this. And now what you'll want to do is bend here at the knee, and you'll notice how we have a slot here that will peg into this tab, and then a slot here that will peg into this tab. So just hinge this up and over, snap that into place, and then of course take the heel spur and just snap that in there. We can then turn our attention here to the side, and you're going to want to rotate this wing here all the way around, and you can see how we've got a slight cutout that would in fact actually overlap and peg onto this tab. So just snap that section there, and then we can come here to this rear wing, and you can see how we've got a tab there that will peg here into that slot. Of course, repeat the exact same process here on the opposite side. So disengage this section, and then just hinge this out of the way, fully extend the wing, snap that out, come here to this side, fold all of this out, and then just snap that section into place. We can then fold all of this up, and once more this here will peg into that tab, and then this slot here will peg into that tab. So just snap that section in, snap that section in, come here to the back and tab that in there, and of course we can then join the two halves. And then finally, for some finishing touches, just rotate this wing here all the way around until that does lock into place. And there we have NBE-1 2007 Voyager Megatron fully transformed up into the Cybertronian alien jet. And in all honesty, I thought the original version was fantastic, and I think this one here is even better now with the more gunmetal silver appearance that of course he is sporting. It really did a fantastic job in replicating that rather abstract looking alien jet that he had in the movie. Of course, you've got the 3 spikes here at the front, that massive nose cone with these 2 sections here, which look great. I think the wings are awesome, especially considering they do in fact actually store away within the legs. I like how they are in fact double layered in order to match the appearance of the movie. It is a slight drawback that this section here is grey and not cast out the same brown that we're seeing here. Not too sure as to why that is, but you can see here we've got some really nice brown detailing here on the underside, which was missing on the original release. And then as we just come here to the top, you can see some of that dry brushing effect. So not all that much to in fact actually discuss here. It once again is very similar in terms of paint to what we saw in bot mode. Here for a very quick comparison, we've got the premium finish here on the right and the original version on the left. Once again, you can see exactly the same in terms of molding. It just is really that darker gunmetal silver that we're seeing on this new Megatron, which differs from the more pristine metallic silver that we got in the original version, which whilst looked great, of course was not as accurate to the movie as I personally believe we are seeing here. And of course, we've got so many more brown highlights. So once again, even in the jet form, I definitely think this guy wins. But for those of you who are in fact actually going to pick up both, you could definitely have this guy stored away in the jet mode and then maybe have this guy out in the bot mode. As if I were to choose between the two, I really do think those brown highlights definitely shine a lot more when Megatron is in robot form. And so, some final thoughts for this Takara Tomy Transformers Premium Finish Studio Series 2007 Voyager class Megatron. Overall, I think this guy's pretty awesome. I think Takara have definitely redeemed themselves, at least in my opinion. Of course, it's not 100% perfect, and for a Premium Finish title, maybe it should be. I really have no idea as to why they did decide to leave literally the upper hips completely cast grey plastic, but other than that, honestly, I think it is a really nice repaint. Definitely better than the original mass-released version. I think those brown highlights really do help to make the sculpt pop. In particular would of course be where that head and torso sculpt is concerned. To begin with, this is a fantastic Megatron mold. Of course, it's almost 3 years old now, I believe, so it's very difficult to in fact actually obtain. So for those of you who missed out on the original version, the actual price point of this release may in fact actually beat some of those aftermarket prices that we're seeing for that original version. And in my opinion, you're getting the best release. I really do think in terms of paint, this guy is probably the superior version when in comparison to all of the other 2007 Megatrons that are in fact actually out there. And in terms of a jet mode, once again, looks really well done, mainly down to the mold. And whilst the paint of course isn't as apparent here when we're in jet mode when in comparison to bot mode, just as there isn't as much sculpting and detailing, I still do think that slightly darker gunmetal silver they've used once again really pops and does look very accurate to the movie. So with all that being said, I definitely think this is a Megatron that I can safely recommend to you guys once again, especially if you don't have the original version. I'd really love to know down in the comment section below on what you guys think of this Premium Finish Studio Series Megatron. Is it one that you're looking to add to the collection? I do know this wave also consists of the Leader Class Siege Ultra Magnus, and whilst that guy might be a slightly different story, I do know that there is also a Movie 1 version of Ratchet, which actually looks really well done, as well as a Siege Tetrajet Starscreamers. Of course, they've got to give us yet another Seeker repaint, but this guy's definitely really nicely done. I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comment section below. As always, I thank you guys all so much for watching, and until my next review, I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.